guest is Naomi Reynolds, a U.S. Army veteran, author, speaker, and a powerful advocate for women veterans. Born in segregated Dallas, Texas, Naomi joined the Army during the Vietnam War, driven by service and patriotism. Her path took an unexpected turn after surviving a traumatic assault while serving, forcing her to rebuild her life from the ground up. She went on to thrive as a mother, public servant, and corporate leader, but in 2014 faced another life-altering challenge, homelessness. Through therapy, the VA, and unshakable determination, Naomi not only rebuilt her life again, but found her calling, helping women veterans heal from trauma, navigate reintegration, and fight for the benefits they deserve. Her journey is one of resilience, restoration, and purpose, and today she's here to share it with us. Hey, welcome to the show, Naomi.
Well, thank you, Donald. Do you prefer Dunn or Donald?
Either's fine.
Okay.
I am not picky.
It's a pleasure to be with you, sir.
Likewise here. So let's start back when. What made you decide to join the military?
Well, I am a part of one of those generational families. My daddy served in World War II. His brothers also served in World War II, and I had an aunt that was in World War II. So we had a whole family background of it, and I've always loved war movies. So I would watch them all the time, 12 o'clock high, whatever it was on. I love military pictures. I love to see those. So that's what got me going.
Okay. So you came in the military. What was your MOS? What did you come in as?
I came in as a 74 L40, and that's an administrative assistant. I guess you would compare that to an office manager.
Okay.
And I went to Fort Knox. Well, my final station was Fort Knox, Kentucky, the Allied Liaison Division, the Armor School. And it was really great. That's where you have all the foreign officers come over to learn about armor. So my job was to get them into America, send them through San Antonio to learn a little bit of English, and then bring them to the armor school to learn. And then I'd make sure they get paid and have somewhere to live and send them back to their country. I enjoyed it.
That does sound like a fun job. You know, nowadays, the only people that we're training is in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that's not near as fun.
No.
So you come in the military and you're doing things that you like and enjoy, and you're kind of living your dream. Dig into a little bit about what happened. What kind of turned those events while you were in?
Okay. Yeah. When I got to Fort Knox, I started off by saying I'd never been away from home. I didn't even spend the night away from home. Our parents were like that. You know, people do sleepovers. I don't know what that is. We didn't do those. So this is my first time being away from my parents, my family, my home, everything. So it was all new to me. And, you know, you start to meet new people. And finally, I met lots of people from Texas, where I was from. But it was good to meet people from all over the country. And I met this one fella, and things went awry after a night out and being drugged with a date rape drug. And finding myself in the barracks, in the men's barracks, being assaulted. Wow. When I did get back to my barracks, and you report it, did you call the police? Well, no, I didn't really know what was happening. You know, no, I did call the police. I didn't understand what date rape was, because I had been seeing this guy for a while. It wasn't like he was a stranger.
Yeah.
Anyway, back then, the Army would, you either had to go to Colorado or New York, get an abortion, or you could just leave and take care of your child. I chose to take care of my child. I didn't expect it, but, you know, I felt that God brought her to me for a reason.
Right.
And, so I decided to leave the military, and over the years, I've raised my daughter as a single mom. She's done quite well. I'm very proud of her. She's finished college. She works for the Harris County Sheriff, not Sheriff Department, the County Commissioner.
Okay.
And so she's doing well. She got married, has a beautiful family. I have two grandchildren, a granddaughter that's in Virginia and getting ready to go to her last year. And I have a grandson who is studying engineering and plans to go on to college. So she's done well. But along the way, once I had her raised and she started her life, I found that I was just living for her. That's what we do. I was just living for my daughter. I found that I was empty. I started revisiting how I got to where I was. Things have changed a lot. Now you can stay in the military when you get pregnant. They don't kick you out, but so I raised my daughter, and I'm proud that I did. I had a good career along the way, but as the years came by, around 2014, I just became despondent. It was like a breakdown of sorts, like a breakdown of everything. So I had a breakdown, and I went into the VA hospital for 90 days. There was some alcohol and there was some drugs. And I got myself in a better position. I got into therapy, of course, PTSD due to military sexual trauma. And that started the day I left the military. It wasn't my intent to leave. That was what, I was ready. I planned to make my career in the military.
Right.
So I had to, like you said in the introduction, I had to readjust my life. Who am I now? My daughter's married, and it's just me now. I didn't plan. I've never married. That's part of my mental health issues. So I've never married. I've never had any other kids. And I decided, let me find other people who may have been in the same circumstances. So I went to Facebook. There's a lot of women who need help.
Yes.
So we've started to talk, and I've been doing my research. I'm currently in an appeal of my own claim. I was made 100% about 2 years ago. Good. And recently they decided to chop it down. Oh. They say they don't recognize military sexual trauma, but I found out that's not true. And then they told me that they had software errors and I never should have been 100%. Not my fault. And then they came back and said it was mandated. So to this day, I don't really know why they did it, but I'm in the middle of an appeal now. I met the appeal board from Washington, D.C. on the 7th, and they're waiting for me to come back with any backup I want to present. So the best thing that I can present at this time is the information I found out from the Inspector General's office. They've been on the backs of the VA to do better with their claims, process better, keep up with paperwork, train your people. That hasn't happened. As of June 25th, the latest OIG report, so nothing has happened where they should have already designed a program for women suffering from military sexual trauma.
Yeah.
And what they were supposed to do was create a program that would connect the VBA, the benefits side, with the hospital side. Nothing is working, and then I'm going to use a lot of that as my evidence. They just weren't doing the job, so we're not getting anywhere with that. So they've already cut my money, but I've got my chin up, and I will continue this appeal. If they deny the appeal, then I'll take it to court. Then I can't take it to court. That's the next move.
Yeah.
Which might be good because I can take all the other women with me too.
Yep.
We've got to be heard, and nothing's gotten any better. There's still sexual abuse going on in the military, big time.
100%. I've had several guests on that have experienced similar things in current military.
Yeah.
And it is tragic because I can vouch that when I was in, it was not taken serious.
No.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but come full circle. I started this podcast, and I had a soldier that I brought onto my show,
Mm-hmm.
and she was my soldier, but I didn't remember her being under me.
Mm.
And she wasn't there very long.
Yeah.
But after she started reminding me, I did remember the situation. So she was sexually assaulted by another soldier in her platoon,
Mm-hmm.
and she was known for partying, and she liked to drink. Not that that was any reason for that should have happened, but that is kind of the way the chain of command looked at it, right?
Yeah.
So after their investigation, what they did is they split her up from her platoon and put her under me. I was in the motor pool, they were transportation, and she then pissed hot for marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave her an Article 15. My first sergeant fought for her.
Mm-hmm.
It was obviously this was the way she was dealing with it.
Yeah.
It was just more evidence that what did happen to her was not wanted.
Yeah.
And then after we got her help, I say help, they put her through the program to get her to stop smoking, and she did it again, and they ended up having to chapter her.
Ooh.
And she is still having issues. I could tell in the interview there's trust issues, there's lots of issues that stem all from this, and women in general do not get a fair shake, from our society to our military. It's on both sides.
It's on both sides.
I've had several guests come in, and when they go to the VA, another spouse will lean over and say, "Oh, is your husband here too?"
Yeah. It still happens. Yeah,
it still does happen. And people are not looking at the full picture, even though now women are even allowed in combat arms.
Yeah.
And they still are not, I don't know what else they have to do to get recognized as a soldier, but it is a problem. And it's a huge problem. And this is, again, it's not just men, women. There's a lot of sexual assault that happens men on men.
And it is. It's a lot in our group.
Yeah, it is. I had it happen my last few days right before I retired. I was on CQ, and a soldier was getting up for PT, and a couple of guys put their PT shirt face over their face so they couldn't be seen, and raped him.
Yeah. Yeah. So
absolutely, it's a horrible situation.
It's very much so. Don. I am also. There's a law, HR 6023, the Veterans Restitution and Justice Act.
Okay.
This act was put in place in 1948 by then President. Okay, let me remember. Truman, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. That does.
Okay, and he decided in 1948, one, if women had children, it was time to remove them from service. Two, if you got pregnant, that was automatic, no discussions. You had to go. From 1948 to 1975, that existed until a court ruled. It was taken to court by some women, and the court ruled that they were wrong, and they ordered them to find us all and make restitution. That's what this bill is about.
Okay.
And it's been sitting there now for 40 years. The ruling was made in the 70s, and nobody's taken action on it. Carbola, I think is his name. He's out of California, is the one spearheading that. But we have the American Legion, the DAV, and all of the organizations supporting it. So we're making a big push on it now. So we're looking for those women. We found quite a few of them, and we're talking on Facebook together, and we're finding out a lot of them have passed on.
Yeah.
But what the law says is whatever the restitution is, their family will get it. But we have to keep pushing because this has been 40 years.
Yeah.
of waiting for them to do what they said they were going to do. So that's the big fight that we have right now, along with making sure we get justice for our claims and for military sexual trauma as well.
Yeah.
So it's huge. It's huge. We can't seem to stir up any news around it, though. It's really hard to get people to look at this as a huge issue. So now you have the government owing all of these women from 1948 to 1975, all the military that were thrown out because of COVID. They got to go back and take care of that. And you also have the gay pride group. I think they won their court action.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of folks out there that it's time to take a look at and just clean it up.
Yeah.
Just clean it up, clean it all up, get a new start. And I'm hoping, I don't like to get into the politics, but we do have a new administration. And I'm hoping that Doug Collins, the new secretary of the VA, does take action. We reported this claim issue. So I plan to get all of my paperwork to the appeals board by Monday, and I've asked them to expedite their decision because at this point, you know what you get at 100%.
Yeah.
So I have been knocked down really badly. Luckily, I have a little bit of savings until I can go through this, but they don't take anything into consideration. And when I called the VA, the people who work there said it's mostly seniors.
Yeah.
That they're doing this to. And I don't understand that. You remember the 5, 10, 15-year rule?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I can, that doesn't surprise me with what you said. I mean, it wasn't, that doesn't sound like a coincidence because they were just, back when I think it was it Petraeus that was in charge of the VA, and he stepped down because they had this waiting list.
Yeah.
And all they were doing was waiting for these guys to die so that they didn't have to treat. Well, it does not surprise me that they're doing this to seniors.
Seniors on their benefits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they can drag it out in hopes that the person passes and the benefits are gone.
That's it. That's exactly it. Unfortunately, and I don't know. It doesn't help you when you have mental health issues anyway.
Yep.
It only all you can do is pray. I call the hotline a lot, or I'll talk to the other ladies in the same position. Now, I don't know how many have had their benefits reduced.
Right.
We're looking for those women who've had their benefits reduced due to PTSD and sexual trauma. Yeah. So I've been reaching out to them. If anybody knows anybody who's had their benefits reduced and who were sexually assaulted, we need to talk because they do recognize military sexual trauma. Although when you call, they'll tell you they don't. But my judge in Washington, D.C., who's waiting for my evidence, told me, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. So.
Yeah, I know when I went through my claims, that was one of the questions.
Yeah.
What is your PTSD caused from sexual trauma? So obviously they do recognize it because they're asking.
Yeah.
I got a family member that a male family member who is getting it, and his biggest claim wasn't even military related. He got it. I don't know how he got it, but he
got it.
He blamed his PTSD on his upbringing. And, I just looked at him. He was in the Air Force for 16 years. Never deployed, never left a desk.
That's what I was going to ask. Was he ever deployed?
Nope.
He got PTSD. Wow.
Yeah, and that's how he got to 100% was because he didn't have enough other stuff wrong with him to make it there.
Well, now if you put in a claim for PTSD, What they were telling me is the reason they wanted to cut it was because they're trying to start all the claims now coming in at 50%, no more, no less. But you know, when they have to look at it, each incident is different.
Yeah.
Mine, yes, sexual assault, and I had a child. I had to raise, I wanted to, not that I had to. I wanted to raise my daughter.
Yeah.
And then you have some that went through sexual trauma and just it's just the sexual trauma that's causing them their problems. But when you decide that you're going to have your child and raise your child yourself, I think I was telling somebody when I came home, my family was very receptive, and I was always a high achiever. So coming home like that, I felt like I had a scarlet letter on me. It took me a while to just settle down.
Yeah.
And take care of your child and live. Forget about the shame you feel. You'll deal with that later, and I have. I'm working on it because there is a shame that comes with it, especially back then, because that was when people were getting on welfare to get money and all kinds, having babies. I just knew that wasn't going to be my life,
Right.
but it ended up being my life, and I had to work. I'm still working through that, but I think that we have to get together and we have to get that straight. But when I went to the hospital to have my daughter, this is what I was getting ready to say. I have to go back and get my thoughts. I had my daughter at Dyess Air Force Base.
Okay.
Because they did allow me, they paid for me to have my child. So I did get that benefit. But the funny part was they wouldn't pay for my baby's food.
Yeah.
I said, what? You have to pay for that? They're not going to pay for that.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
That hasn't changed as of today. I don't think that's changed because I had to pay for mine as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's interesting. And, you know, I told them, I said, I got a VA loan, and I always tell veterans, yeah, you can get a VA loan without any down payment, but you better have some money. Because property taxes, insurance, upkeep will kick your butt.
Yep.
You know, I was fortunate with that 100% because I paid no property tax.
Yeah.
Now, it could be a different story.
Yep.
So I don't know what that means because I got rid of about $1,500 in taxes because I was 100%.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you know, in some states, same with registration tags and all that type of stuff. You know, there's funeral and burial benefits that you know are increased with that.
Yeah, dental.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. You know.
Yeah.
I want to kind of unpack this a little bit for the listeners, right? Because I know I get it, and I do have listeners that never served. So when you were getting out, you were going through a lot more than what we just talked about.
Yeah.
You were, you know, it is not uncommon for a veteran to walk away and now has lost their identity. Mm-hmm. Your identity at that time was a sergeant in the military. You were in charge of troops. You were respected, and that was all part of who you were. Yes. And now that has been stripped away, and you're having to go figure it out because there's no operational textbook that tells you what your next steps are. You know, so now you've got that dilemma. You've been sexually assaulted. I don't know if they did anything to the person that that hasn't changed today either. And so now you've got that, you know, because that's where some of these feelings come from. There was, you know, when you don't punish the other person, that's like you saying high five, congratulations.
Yeah,
that's the same thing. It's not well, we just don't want to dig into it. It's a touchy situation. No, you just condoned it.
Just condoned it.
And so now you've got that trauma. Mm-hmm. You've got a youngin' that's coming that brings all of the new stuff, the stress and everything else, and I'm sure the remembrance of what happened. was there as well. My hat's off to you for making the choice that you did, because that is a tough ask to ask somebody to do, and it sounds like you've done a wonderful job at that point. Um, but then it comes a time where you no longer had that identity again. Your identity was mom and living for your child. And once that happened, the demons came back, because now you've got nothing but time to think about it. So I do completely get it. And now I think hopefully the listeners have a better idea as we move forward, right?
Yeah.
You're at the beginning stages of where now healing has to really take place, because now you can no longer pack it down and put your focus elsewhere. Now your mind has to be 100% focused on you. And part of that is things that it remembers that is unsettled. And that's where the tough part of healing comes from.
That is, you hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
You did. That's where it comes from. And, after I left Dallas, I haven't been able to even keep a therapist at the VA. They turn over so quickly. They come from different countries. I had Dr. Abadali, and I don't know where he came from, but he went back to his country. I've had 2 foreign doctors here, but they don't stay long. I think over the last, since I moved back to the Houston area in 2019, I can tell you I've had at least 6 therapists. 6. And you can't get anywhere with 6 different therapists. It's like starting all over again every time.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any better. When I got ready to do my my appeal paperwork, the judge said, do you have a service officer to help you, or a lawyer? That always burns me. A veteran should not need an attorney.
Yeah.
But now I'm beginning to believe I should have gotten one. I'm not sure.
I'll be honest, that's how I got to 100%. I had to get an attorney. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. The red tape and everything else.
I know, it's driving me crazy right now. I'll be honest with you. It's doing. I pray and talk as much as I can to other people, but to get to the first 100, I never used anybody. I wrote all my stories, my own story, and did my own paperwork over the years. But now that we're at this point, and so everybody gave me numbers, but nobody's available. So you go on your own. So at that point.
Well, when we're done, I'm going to put you in contact with a couple people that I know that can
appreciate it,
recognize and share and help. So I want to dig into a little bit. You're now seeking help. You're going through rehab and some therapy. What happens after that?
Well, the therapy I'm involved in now, it's over with. I may restart it once I get through all this appeal stuff. But at the end of last year, they assigned me to a social service person, which they are also some type of therapist too on the social service side. Mm-hmm. And he introduced me to equine therapy.
Okay.
So there's a horse ranch not that far from me here where I live. And you don't ride them, but you groom them. Yep. You get to know them. You learn about horses. And I have to tell you, I'm isolated. I'm one of those people who are isolated. I don't go out. I don't date. I don't go to events. I'm isolated. So for him to get me to go was a real big deal. And I enjoyed it. So I may go back to that. As far as getting out of my isolation, I don't know. I don't think at this point in my life, other than working with my veterans and doing those type of things, homelessness, I'm a sustaining member of the Texas Homeless Network. And I help with the veterans, come up with ideas where we can better serve our veterans through all of these NGOs. They get all the veterans' money. And Texas is the largest state for veterans. We have the most veterans than anybody.
Yeah.
Then I guess California and then Florida, but we have the most. And we just don't have enough veteran service officers to assist with the claims. And for me, I think that's the downfall. Anytime you put in a claim, you should automatically get a service officer if they're qualified.
Well, I think we can easily say that there is a system that would fix all of that because they implemented it when your income tax. So when it comes down to them wanting to make sure they get their money, they've got a fail-proof system. Every dollar you ever make, they'll never lose that record. They'll know it.
They said they'll never lose that.
Nope. No, they will not. They'll go back 10 years and tell you where you earned 55 cents.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. I tell you though, to make, I don't want to make the VA sound like they're horrible, but if the Inspector General has said it, then I can say it. But I remember I went to school on the GI Bill. I went to college, went to Abilene Christian and got my degree in criminal justice because I ended up working with the Dallas Police Department and fire and arson. So they realized, I guess once I started getting Social Security, they came back to me and said, and this is like years ago, you owe us this money. And they took it. They took it out of my Social Security check at that time. And I was like, I mean, what can you do?
Yeah.
What can you do? I didn't owe it. They couldn't show me how I owed it. I mean, this was like 20 years later.
Yeah.
So you're right. They'll find it.
But the plane gets lost 15 minutes after they get it.
I know.
You know, and I do agree with you. I don't, go out there and try to bash the VA.
I know.
But the system is broken. It is that simple.
It is broken.
The VA would be a great navigator.
Yes.
If that's all they had to worry about was putting the soldier what resources they needed.
That's
and
right.
All of these other resources were independently ran so that they only have to focus on a few different tasks.
Yes.
And it would take money to do it. And that's why it's not being done. They just continue to keep adding another broke program on top of a broke system that stands no chance. And we talking about homelessness. They're fixing to partner the VA with HUD, and in this big beautiful bill that came out, they gave the VA, I want to say it was like $1.8 billion or something. It was quite a bit. And that money was to go towards that program, build new barracks for the Department of Defense and a bunch of other stuff. But my point being is HUD is not exactly a successful program either.
I can speak to that too. You're right.
We now have two people that are doing half-assed jobs. I don't think the half plus the half is going to make a solved problem.
Oh no. And when I look at it, I'm like, I can remember, and of course, I was doing the Vietnam era, and I can remember when we had to take our health file, all our files. We had to travel with our files. Yeah. I mean, we had no electronics, no healthy vet, none of that crap. It's good crap, but we didn't have that. There were no provisions for women at all at the VA. That's why I ended up at Dyess Air Force Base. There was nowhere. They weren't even prepared to help women. Now we're there, but things are still, I'm happy for the change. Very happy for the change. But when you get to this part, it's not enough. They haven't moved enough. And to Queen Latifah on her show, the Equalizer.
Yep.
I was watching her one day, and she did a show to show you how bad things still are. This colonel had raped this cadet, or this infantry lady, and he had killed her because he didn't want it to get out. And of course, Queen Latifah, being the detective, she found out everything, and they found out it had been a history of it. So she did a really good program about the way it exists today. Mm-hmm. That is still the same. Nothing's changed. So I'm interested to see what happens with this consolidated program between VBA and VHA, especially for sexual trauma, to see what that's going to end up looking like. They've been penalized because they were supposed to do this back in 2018, and the OIG said it's time. You've got to do it. Even Congress is on board now, so they're after Doug Collins, the secretary, to make it happen. So we'll see what happens with it, and that's the program I would like to be involved in.
Yeah.
I think it's time for them to bring some people in who've been through it, what they call it, peer support, to bring some people in to kind of steady the ship with all of this new programming that needs to happen. So we'll see what Doug does. Yeah. I don't know him that well.
Well, that makes sense. Who would be the subject matter experts on this? Well, it would definitely be the victims.
It'll be the victims.
They know what happened to them and what the wrongs were.
Yes.
They know what they need to move forward. At least what kind of resources. Yeah. And so you could build a program off of that if you would just listen to them. And that's all it would take is somebody to sit down that is serious about fixing it and listening to these stories.
And listen to the stories.
Yep. It is unfortunate. I wanted to kind of hit on another topic because I'm kind of dear to this because, my brother was homeless. It wasn't just one time, it's multiple times.
It's multiple times.
And I know I spent 2 times myself trying to help him get his identification and all that stuff back when he would move in with me. Mm-hmm. And that is a goat rope from hell,
It is.
How did the VA help you?
When I went to the VA, that was 2014. And that was when they were promoting ask for help. Just ask for help, And it's difficult for me to do that. I kind of left Houston, went back to Dallas, hung around my family, did some couch surfing, from here to there. And I finally said to myself, well, I got to find some help. That was the problem. They give you this homeless line.
Yep.
You can't get anybody on there. And then people sent me to a place downtown. It was homeless people everywhere from all over the world, I thought. Yeah. So I knew that wasn't the place for me. And then I finally did go to the VA. They had this little center off of the VA for women. And I had been there several times, but nobody had ever helped. And I finally found a lady that said, this week, if you go to the VA hospital, they will open up the domiciliary. They have beds. They have room. So I went to the meeting, and a friend of mine told me, don't dress the way you normally dress. I mean, I take pride, even if I'm homeless, Yep. I didn't deteriorate that way. But she said, don't dress up. Don't do it because they won't accept you. You're going to have to look homeless. I did it.
Wow.
I changed my look in order to get in, to get help. And she was right, too. So when I went in, they do the processing, get you in, and they asked me when I wanted to start. I know it was July. I said, when does it start? They said July 3rd. I said, I'll be here. They said, well, it's the 4th. Don't you want to hang out for the 4th? I said, no, what, do drink and drugs? What? No, I don't want to be out for the 4th, So, but the thing about the domiciliary and those places, you have to have some get up and go yourself too. If you want a therapist, you got to push for a therapist. If you want to, like you said, you took your brother to go get all his ID.
Yeah.
They have a program at the VA to help you, but it's very difficult, it seems, for them to do it. They were supposed to have had people to help us with our claims. They actually didn't. I ended up doing my own first claim, which I did get 50% in 2017. So if you're really dead and out, they don't have the help there. Now, I am curious about towers to tunnels. They say they have everything there, and I would have given anything to have a towers to tunnel when I was homeless. It looks very nice.
Yeah.
We have one here in Houston. So on that side, people are doing something that has nothing to do with the VA, though.
Yeah, no, and it's because they're spending the money to do it right. Tunnel to Towers is a great organization.
I love it. I love it. You know, I wish they had existed when I went through, and I'm hopeful that they do have the management people to help people within that system to do what they need to do. I haven't heard any reports. I haven't visited one yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I do want to be involved a little bit more with that as well. But in September 17th is when the Texas Homeless Network have their annual conference. And I'll usually go to that. The first time I went, I almost didn't go. Again, I'm an isolationist. But I had the need to go because I've been homeless and I know what it's like. And I wanted to help on the veteran side. They have 250 counties within Texas that get money through the Texas Homeless Network. Now, they came about because the abuse by nonprofits with the money in the past. So they created the network. And their job is to oversee and keep account of who's getting the money, how they are doing. And they didn't have any of that information. It was like trillions of dollars. It was sort of like California. Who got the money? Nobody knows. Who did you help? Nobody knows. So this new group is working to do a little bit better. And my involvement with them is to help them to get in touch with the American Legion or the veterans, just the B, what am I trying to say? The DVA, the DVA to be trained, have someone within each of those organizations trained to help with claims. We got to do something because there's just not enough help out there. All of the people who help with claims, that's why we got so many people trying to charge us to do it. We got to get away from that charging veterans to help them. I think it's atrocious. It's atrocious.
Yep.
I mean, I know it's a business and I know a lot of people try it, but I stray away from them and I have other people stray away. I mean, maybe you'll pick up a little information, but don't pay money. Yeah. Not that way. If you got to end up doing it, go get you an attorney, I guess.
Yep. And that's the best way to do it. If you're going to spend money, go with an actual attorney that gets paid to represent you. And the first thing you can ask is, if you have to go in front of an appeal board, would that attorney stand next to you?
Yeah.
If not, then he's not an attorney. He's just another program that's filling out paperwork for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So lots going on, but I'm looking forward to the conference in September and seeing all the folks, seeing what's the new information for homeless folks here in the state of Texas. And, because every year they come up with the same percentage. We've gotten 30%. No, you haven't. You've been getting 30% for 20 years. They never increase it, They haven't done enough for homeless vets. And I know it's difficult for a lot of them to come in. I've met them at some of the stand downs. Yeah. We have our stand down in October. And I haven't been in years. I'm going to try to get out and make that one as well. But most of the time at the stand downs when I was there, especially the guys that's getting 100%, they don't want therapy. They don't want anything. They just want to be left alone for the most part. So, but there's got to be something we can do better for our homeless vets because we haven't even touched the surface. They're not all laying around on the street. drugged out. That's not who they are. They're probably with family members, and they don't know how to help them. Sort of like I was doing, going from couch to couch or home to home of relatives, not really knowing what to do and how to get there. It's not easy to get help.
Yeah,
it's just not easy.
Yep, no, you are 100% right, and it's just a huge problem that has got so many symptoms that come off of it. The mental health aspect, the documentation aspect, the
Yes.
fixing the need to feel wanted. I mean, that was a big thing when I got out was, I'd been a mechanic for 20 years now, not even including my civilian time before the military.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to these places to apply for jobs, they want to start you out as the oil change guy. Yeah. And it's just a slap in the face. I mean, I was fixing trucks with bullets flying over my head, and now all of a sudden I'm only good to change oil.
I know.
Wow. It is a tough problem to fix. And
it really is.
Part of that probably comes from the fact that, all the Army ever focuses on is combat. They don't care about an after career for anybody. So, yeah.
Definitely not now. They don't care about it. They have all these transition programs, but they're not working for some reason. I even tried to, when I got out of the military, I tried to get a job at the VA. They were only taking 30% veterans. I hate that too.
Yep.
I hate that too. Why? A veteran is the best person to be on the job at the VA. So
you solve a lot of the can't relate problems because, most of us, whether we have been deployed or not deployed or been, through a sexual assault, we at least are aware of it and know about it and know about the programs that was in the military and how they didn't work. So we can at least relate to the person that's talking compared to a person out of college that's just trying to get some internship time.
I know. I think those are the ones I'm getting at the VA now. Because the one guy today told me, ma'am, I think I can tell you think you know what you're talking about. Oh my God. Why did he say that to me? He had to be somebody. He wasn't even a veteran, so I'll put it that way.
Man. Yeah. That is absolutely frustrating.
Yeah.
Ms. Naomi, if I'm not mistaken, you have published a book as well, right?
Yes, it'll be coming out in about 30 days, from battle scars to benefits, believe it or not, with the tagline of the relentless pursuit of healing, strength, and rightful rewards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. When you were going through that writing process, did you ever get to a point where you said, wow, I did not expect it to be like this to get a book published?
You betcha. Because we've been working on this since last year.
Yeah.
But I have a wonderful team. They're all over the world. My publisher and confidant is in Dubai.
Okay.
And he's wonderful. Never been in the service, of course, because he's not from America, which kind of makes it better for me. He has no preconceived notions. And we learn things together as we, put the book together. But he's been a jewel, and the rest of the team, I mean, it's wonderful. But it is exciting to have a book coming out. My family have said for years, you've done so much, you should write a book, Yeah. Okay, here he comes. And so I'm very excited about it. I hope to introduce it at the Homeless Network conference in September.
Awesome.
We'll start it out.
I think it's important that every veteran, especially with what we've seen recently, I think it's important that every veteran documents their story some way, somehow.
Some way, somehow.
Whether, I'm part of a nonprofit that helps veterans transition into the music industry.
Oh, cool.
And it's just another way. I mean, these guys are pouring their hearts out in lyrics and songs, but it's still their stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's important because we don't know in 30 years what our time is going to be taught and what changes are going to be made. And we just seen it happen, all the way down to changing names of bases and just stripping history. Um,
Yes,
and it's not. I'm not saying that everything that happened in the history was good,
that's
but
right.
but you can't go back and erase it. It's
Not
still
our history. I thought I would die when they started doing that. When they tore up Washington and pulled down things, and I mean, if I would have ever believed what we saw,
yeah,
ever. You're
yeah,
right. I'm not. I wasn't for any of that. I'm glad he's trying to bring them back.
yeah. And
And
that's what opened my eyes to this pod, making sure that on the podcast that we document. Once it's on the internet, it's never going to go away.
that's right.
Somebody will be able to find it. So
Yes.
at least it's out there.
I love it. I love it. I love what you do. And I'm so happy that it's helped you too. Like you say, write a book, do some music,
Yep.
podcast.
Yep. I,
Wonderful.
I do this full time. I own a little bit of a little media company, but for the most part, this is what I do. And it brings happiness. It doesn't bring dollars, but it brings happiness.
There you go.
So, and that's worth a little bit more than money. I'll be honest.
You're right. You're so right.
Well,
Yes.
Ms. Naomi, I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell everybody where they can find you and where they can learn a little bit about some of your groups and organizations.
Sure. I'm on X at Vet Families is my call at Vet Families, and I am. Don't forget the book From Battle Scars to Benefits, and that will be available at Amazon in about the next 30 days. So I'm looking forward to that. I also have a website, helpingveteransthrive.com. And there you can learn about a few more of our programs. We try to help people before they buy their homes to make sure they understand about property taxes and insurance and all the things that go with buying a home. Unfortunately, I've watched as a lot of people have lost their homes. You see for sale signs, for lease signs everywhere. So we talk about home buying, and definitely I can speak to that. I'm in a pretty precarious situation right now with funds due to the VA, but that'll work out. Keep praying and keep moving on. But look for my book. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. There's some heavy stuff, but there's also some resources.
Yeah.
How to solve some of this stuff. And I talk about what I did and how I solved a lot of my situations. Will I ever get better with PTSD? I've learned to live with it. I don't think it ever goes away. I don't see myself being not isolated. And I've been around a while at 75, I'm comfortable, but I don't want to be homeless again. And that's what I saw when they came after my benefits. So,
No, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
yeah.
I mean, being homeless in itself creates trauma.
It creates a lot.
So it is not, it's not too much to expect that stays in your memory, because everybody has triggers. So
Yeah.
I will also make sure that your links and everything is put in. I will make a note in the bottom that in about 30 days the book can be found on Amazon.
Good.
That way, people, even after the 30 days, they'll watch this and still be able to click on it and find it. So I will also make sure your website and everything else is put in as well. So I appreciate you coming on. I had a great time. I've even learned a few things as well. So I think the listeners out there kind of, you should have a better idea of the problem that comes from sexual assaults and how common it is in the military. I mean, I know me and her was Army, but I'm telling you, it happens in every branch.
Everywhere.
Yep, it is not just an Army problem. So if you come across it, do not be surprised, and now you can have a little bit of understanding and compassion of what goes along with it. So I appreciate all y'all for listening. Remember, don't let the day kick your ass. Kick the day's ass.